Good evening, our beloved viewers. Welcome to this English news edition. Here are the major stories. A launch of the emergency project in response to the food security crisis. An emergency medical aid for Somalia. And on the international scene, the fight against global warming, a priority for the health of the sea. Those were the headlines. Thanks for joining us in our newsroom. As part of the pilgrimage and Umrah activities, the first contingents of Djibouti pilgrims performed the Umrah before the Great Pilgrimage. Let us listen for more details with our colleague Hinda Ibrahim.
Are at the Al Diafa market in the middle of the town of Mecca this evening. The first group of Jewish pilgrims speeding to Mecca to perform the Umrah, already in a state of Umrah since Mecca Dul Al Hulayfa in Medina. In the 120 and Jewish pilgrims on board the coast began to make the takbir out loud once they arrived at the entrance to Mecca, while respecting the prerogative of the Umrah under the aegis of the Hajj organizing community. The pilgrim led by the ulamas, the Jewish pilgrim began the first stage of the Umrah rite, the Tawaf. Among the thousands of the other pilgrims from all over the world, the Jewish pilgrim began to perform the 7-turn Tawaf around the Kaaba, a fundamental stage of the Umrah. When the pilgrim have completed 2 rak'ah as the Mecca, Ibrahim, and then hurried, as the prophetic tradition say, to the water fountain to drink the Zamzam water. Immediately the pilgrim began the rite flowing the Sayyid, which consisted during the Umrah to cover the distance between Safa and Marwa. It was around 1 p.m. in the evening that the first group of Djibouti pilgrims finished the Umrah rite. They were very exhausted, but their hearts were full of joy and the hope of being forgiven for all the sin they had committed. The hope of being forgiven for all their sin. At least 1,400 Jewish pilgrims will be making the pilgrimage in this year of 1,444, and second group of Jewish pilgrims has already arrived in Medina and will soon be on their ways to Mecca to perform the before the Great Pilgrimage.
Within the framework of a bilateral relation between Djibouti and Kenya, a joint commission meeting was held at Djibouti's Diplomatic Institute, chaired by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mohamed Ali Yusuf. The meeting was attended by Djibouti's ambassador to Kenya, Mr. Yassin Al-Bibour, Kenya's Ambassador to Djibouti, Mr. Salim Mohammed Salim, a number of players from different sectors of the public administration. Djibouti and Kenya have always shared a special relation marked by convergence of views in a wide range of sectors. The political will, clearly expressed by political decision makers, has enabled the two countries to embark on a process of economic integration over the past decades, which is set to be strengthened by the growing number of exchanges that have produced concrete results for the mutual benefit of the two countries and the two people. These joint committees represent a platform for the two countries to hold discussion on a wide range of topics before, and therefore a broad marking the opportunities for the experts present from the various countries over a 3 days period. In his speech, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mohamed Ali Yusuf, said that Kenya's interest is developing this partnership. Let us listen to the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
We're really very grateful for this interest that Kenya has in developing this partnership. And we also believe that as part of the same region, we are faced with the same challenges. And the more we will be closer in terms of economic relations, in terms of trade and transport, connections, we will be in a position really to fight back and counter all kinds of challenges. Generally speaking, we have security threats in this region. And when there is a security vacuum, it's very difficult to work on business, to work on development, partnerships, cultural and scientific research, higher education programs. So I think that we are really very much focused now in this session on a number of agreements and protocols that we have been working on. Of course, there's still this frustration that the implementation is very low. So if we need really to invigorate this relationship, we have to focus on the mechanism of implementation, how we could put a time frame, a very smooth, flexible mechanism that will enable us to go to the substance of this relationship. And that substance can only be tangible if we are in a position to implement them on the ground. One of the key issues that certainly will arise from this meeting is how we can start with a flight of Kenya Airways, connecting Nairobi to Djibouti. This is, key, because if we don't have a flight, a straight flight from between the two countries, it will be very difficult to develop tourism, business, transactions, to develop all kind of relationship. And this is, I think, a must. This is critical. The other issue is, of course, telecommunication, and hopefully we have a submarine cable, linking Mombasa to Djibouti. And this is also a sector that is going to boom and to grow fast and rapidly in the coming years. So that we have a representative of the telecom department with us from the Djibouti side, and I hope that his counterpart from the Kenyan side is also here. So these are sectors that we can really have good results if we move fast together, if we put the momentum needed in these relations.
The Minister of Interior, Mr. Said Noor Hassan, accompanied by the Ambassador of Egypt, to Mr. Hussam al-Din Reda, this morning inaugurate the palace to Cairo on the route of Venice in front of Kasagad Clinic. The roundabout, which has been named Cairo Square, bears witness to the excellent cooperation between Djibouti and the Arab Republic of Egypt. Discussion also were focused on strengthening economic, trade, and investment cooperation between the two countries. The inauguration ceremony was attended by the Egypt's ambassador to Djibouti, Mr. Hussam al-Din, and Djibouti's ambassador to Egypt, Mr. Ahmed Ali Barre, also present for this event. The Commander Colonel Wais Omar Boukhouri, the Navy Commander Colonel Ahmed Dahir Jama, and the Deputy Kasagad Commander Colonel Mohammed Adawa attend for this event. A handover ceremony took place this morning at Djibouti's prefecture between the ongoing prefect, Mr. Osman Bile, and the new prefect of the city of Djibouti, Mr. Abdi Sikiye, who was recently appointed by the Council of Ministers on Tuesday. The handover ceremony was led by the Acting Secretary General of the Ministry of Interior, Ms. Ifrah Ali Ahmed. On his arrival, the new prefect was welcomed by his predecessors by the former prefecture of office after signing the documents relating to the various human and material for this service in the city of Djibouti. The ongoing prefect invited his successor to take a seat on his office. A ceremony to launch the emergency project in response to the food security took place at Djibouti Palace Kempinski on Thursday, 8 June 2023. The ceremony was led by the Minister for Social Affairs and the World Bank residents, a representative in collaboration with the Minister for the Economic, the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister for Trade, the Minister of the President of the Chamber of Commerce and the World Bank resident, in addition to members of the government. The event was also attended by the ambassador from countries friendly to the Republic of Djibouti and resident representative of international organization, as well as Secretary General of other directors general and other representative of a state institution participate in this event. The priority of this project, financed by the World Bank and implemented jointly by the Minister of Social Affairs and the Minister of Agriculture, but also the Minister of Trade, aims to mitigate the risk of food insecurity linked to supply shocks and drought. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margili, wish to overcome these hazards, prevent similar situations, and provide the Republic of Djibouti with a national strategy stockpile following the various consecutive external crises, the war in Ukraine and the logistic crisis and recurring drought, which have had a negative impact on international markets and the national markets with the shortage of a certain food product and price inflation. For his part, the Minister of Trade and Tourism, as Agriculture, the Minister of Commerce, as the Agriculture underlined the ultimate aims in his speech of the emergency project in response to the food security crisis. The Minister also said that the social protection is to give both our public and private institutions as well as our population the tools and the technical but also the financial capacity to cope all these risks and issues. In his speech, the Minister of Economic and Finance explained that the action undertaken as a part of this project will reinforce the effort already made by the Minister of Social Affairs in the file of social protection and population recovery in the face of many issues encountered. The funding of the project by the World Bank will support the effort already undertaken by the Ministry of Social Affairs by providing additional resources to meet the challenges encountered, conclude the Minister. And finally, the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Ms. Ulufa Ismail Abdul, take the floor and say that this collaboration will make it possible to strengthen population recovery measure and ensure an adequate response to the multiple shocks, thereby helping to improve the living condition of a vulnerable population in Djibouti. The Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development hosted a workshop this morning, a training workshop on the management of biofouling on ships. Through this training, the Minister intends to carry out an assignment of the biofouling management to assess the risk on a national scale. The aim of the workshop is to provide participants with essential information and practical knowledge on control and on how to control and monitoring methods implementation of the guideline for the control and management of biofouling, cheap biofouling with the aim of minimizing the transfer of aquatic transfer and invasive spaces. The aim is to lay the foundation for an assignment of problems associated with this invading space. The standards of the workshop. In his speech, the acting Secretary General, Mr. Adan Hassan, underlined the aim of these training courses, which is, he said, was to provide participants with an essential information, the necessary tools, and practical knowledge on how to control and monitoring the method links to the implementation of a directive for the control and management of biofouling on ships. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training organized a workshop this morning to prevent and present a validate presentation on the work situations analysis report and also the traits and competence of the BTS logistic and management assistant. The presentation workshop took place at the CFF Omar Agili, with the attend by the local business and companies as well as the sectors, ministries participated actively in the validation of analysis report drawn by the methodologist and a designer from the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training. The formation of the teachers, more generally, the Ministry of Education and Vocational Training regularly contests the training content to keep pace with the new technologies. Other news now, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of Staff of the Army Forces, this morning received the Chief of Staff of Somali Army Forces, Major General Adawa Yusuf, but also the official hotels at the Djiboutian Army's Directorate on International Relations. This high-level meeting is part of the bilateral relation between the two countries, and it is the first of its kind to be held in Djibouti. The Chief of Staff of Somali Army and the strong delegation accompanying him were welcome at the Directorate General of International Relations with the military honors due to their rank and to the rhythm of respective national anthem played by the national music groups also present at this event. Indeed, after the customary greeting and introduction, the senior official exchanged views on a number of strategy issues, including military cooperation between the two countries and more especially between the two army forces. The various project and strategy objectives of both parties were focused on the effort on restoring peace in Somalia. Finally, the two parties thanked each other and expressed their satisfaction at the excellent relation between the two people and the two countries.
calankiyo arladu kiyirkanaye ila tahay awoodii lagu
And also, once the discussion were over, the Harbi group folk lined up with an event song specially dedicated to the occasion. The meeting continued with an exchange of gifts between the two military counterparts. Finally, the meeting ended up with a traditional commemorative photo family. They to immortalize the moment, and the two general parted with a promise to always remain united and to protect the interests of both countries.
رسول ديمقراطي بيسوق سومالي ستة الجحيسوق رسول ديمقراطي بيسوق وتلبى دورسي سوماليا كي نقولا سوماليا كي نقولا وتلبى دورسي سوماليا كي نقولا سوماليا كي نقولا
Helping Somalia to recover from the recent flood by donating only food stuff, but also other basic necessities such as medicines, blankets, and mosquitoes nets was given by the Republic of Djibouti's pledge to support and lend a helping hand to the brotherly Somali people who were severely affected by the recent flood. Within this in mind, the Djiboutian government yesterday dispatched the first batch of essential humanitarian aid through a military aircraft catered by the Djiboutian army to the front line to protect, support, and meet the need of families affected by the torrential rains and overflowing of the river in Beledweyne. The Chief of General Staff of the Army Forces, Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, was in charge of sending this first batch of humanitarian aid under the supervision of his Chief of Defense Staff, who led this first operation. On 6 June 2023, a ceremony to commemorate the 46th anniversary of the creation of Djiboutian Army was held, this time in Somalia. The festivities which took place at Beledweyne were presided over by the Sector 4 Commander Colonel Hassan Jama Farah and Hill 9 Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Hamid Ahmed Mohammed. After a review of the troops and raising of colors to order the orders of the day by the Chief of the Army Forces, General Staff Lieutenant Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim was read out to the troops and the civilian and military guests of honors present in Beledweyne. This was followed by the traditional military parade led by the soldiers of Hilwal 9 Battalion. Event of now for thousands of kilometers away of various parade held on 6 June were perfectly as demonstrated by the parade in Beledweyne. For these soldiers who fought and sacrificed themselves for our values and peace in Somalia, brothers, may Allah welcome them into His eternal paradise. The Djiboutian Army expresses the deepest sympathy to the families, the prides, and these loved ones of legitimates. May our heroes rest in peace and may their sacrifice remain forever. And now moving on to the international scene. So with more than 8,000 participant ministers, head of state and entire ocean communities, the first United Nations conference successfully continues. Today is on June 8, 2023. For more details with our colleague Hinde Ibrahim.
The 8,000 participant ministers, heads of state, and the inter-ocean community. The first United Nations Ocean Conference successfully continued today on June 8, 2017 with the World Ocean Day. This demonstrated the ocean has become a major priority for the international community. Pollution, acidification, deoxygenation, overfishing, these threats among many others to the ocean and the ecosystem. Health grow increasingly every year, while awareness has globally spread. It's now time to increase investment in science for better ocean knowledge and speeded action to lead the ocean continue its fundamental role in ensuring a healthy and productivity planet in the future.
This is it for this edition. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful evening.